back to our Thursday masterclass cook-along. Now, Sadiqa, you've got one more recipe to share, but this one we're not eating, but we're drinking.
Absolutely. And I think it's a staple in most Indian households. It is a masala chai. It's just so interesting that it's a mixture of spices that go into a tea. That you use this liquid for digestion purposes, one, and two, you used it to heal from a cold. So now that we're approaching winter, a masala chai is something that really needs to be in your household.
We're pairing this amazing tea that we're making, this chai tea, with something very simple, something that for me feels a lot more like a baklava or a baklava type dish, right?
Very close to a baklava. This is the Indian version, and it's basically a puff pastry, shop bought, unless you're going to make your own puff pastry, and it's filled with this decadent condensed milk, dessert cream, coconut.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Yes.
My mouth is
so you're doing
watering.
teas?
Yes, we are doing the tea, and we are going to be the tea masters.
Team tea. Now, when we are creating a masala chai, what spices do we need to incorporate?
Okay, basically here we are showing you how we are going to basically use some of the whole spices and ground spices to make our masala mixture.
Delicious. So we're using a combination.
Yes. So what we're going to basically be having here, you can either use a pestle and mortar first and foremost, or you can use a coffee grinder or a spice grinder to make your thing, to get basically your end product, a final chai powder.
What spices are represented?
So basically, we're basically going to be using black pepper, white pepper, cinnamon, fennel, cardamom.
Yes.
I always forget this one, yeah? I always forget this.
She's
This is
just like,
why
I told you.
Yes, you always...
This is why, again, it's cloves.
Cloves, that's the thing. Ginger powder and nutmeg. So we're going to basically be using this. You put it together in the pestle, and we're going to grind the spice down until we get this particular thing.
Lovely, lovely. And I just want to find out from you then, Sadiqa, so many of us have different spices and aromatics at home, but my number one question is, how do you make sure that they stay fresh?
So the first thing is buy small portions of your spice. That's critical. The second thing is airtight containers. But what we also have is what we call a masala dabba. So it's a silver dish that has little bowls of spices in it, but it's airtight. That's the critical thing. So buy small portions of it and airtight.
A little goes a long way, right, if it's fresh enough?
That's it.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So as we are putting this all together,
Yes.
making sure that our masala chai is coming on quite well, I can
Yes.
see we've got the hands on deck, the strength
We're
is there.
basically using our strength.
And on your side, Sadiqa?
We are doing a sugar syrup, so we've finished toasting our coconut, and I think that the trick here is never toast coconut on very high heat. It's got fat in it, so ultimately it could burn, but you definitely want some of those darker brown bits. I personally like them.
Me too.
So you want that crispy toasted coconut taste. So that's done. Now we're getting into the sugar syrup that's going to go in. I have seen some recipes where you use normal sugar if you want the crunchification, but we want almost a smooth toasted coconut texture, so I would always recommend do your syrup. And you can decide how much syrup you want to put. As we're going to play around now, we may use half of the quantity or a little bit of the quantity, bearing in mind as part of the recipe, we've got condensed milk and dessert cream going into it.
So that's already quite a bit of sweetness going on.
Absolutely.
And on my side, with the masala chai, I'm ready for action. We've got our water boiling here slowly. When it comes to putting it together, we've got quite a few ingredients here.
Yes. So basically, we need to start with the water. We got 1 liter of water.
Okay.
We bring it to a boil, and as we bring it to a boil, we keep it boiling. We add in room temperature or even cold milk. It doesn't matter what it is.
Okay.
And we make
Your
sure.
tea leaves, eh?
And we bring this also to a boil, because what essentially we want to do is thicken the milk. So heat is actually going to thicken the milk. So what we want to create that slightly warmer texture on the milk, and when you're drinking it, and the thickness. That's what we need there, that thickness, and what we call the mawa.
So I think what the other important thing we want to stress here is, for this recipe, we're using loose tea leaves. So you're more than welcome to use a tea bag, but a traditional masala chai that you'd get in the streets of India from a tea maker is a chai walla. So you put that in, so those are loose tea leaves. But we're going to strain it out, so there's no stress.
So the loose tea leaves is like one stage before we put it into a tea bag. So what they do is, before they grind it even further to put it into a tea bag, this just keeps the wholeness.
That's it.
So when it's being brewed, as you can see, I already start to get the smell of the tea.
And the colour is
And the colour is changing on
Yes.
its own. The heat is it's extracting all the flavors out of it. That's what we need, and we need that
And it
smell
has
to
to
come
be,
out.
and I think the important thing is it's slow, and now we're in a position to start putting in our masala. So
Yes.
the spice blend. Now again, master of your spice destiny, you decide how much to put in. We normally put in about half a tablespoon. If you want it a little bit more spicier, by all means go ahead.
Yes.
But now we move into that, and what you're going to
That's
do, Palesa, is now you're going to just mix it very gently, and it's going to start, and you can see the colour in. Yes, that's it.
Dumi, it's looking a little bit of a chocolatey brown here on this side.
Yes.
The smell, the aromas, the
Aroma.
aromatics, it's just what it's all about.
We just leave it. We don't stir it too much because we want it to start boiling.
Back
building
away
colour.
from the
building
tea.
Back
away,
away
yes,
from the
back
tea
away,
now.
yes.
Back away from the
We
tea.
want that brew to come up and start to
That's it.
boil. When you see it starting to boil, that's
Very
when you
gentle.
know we are ready for the next level, and that's either you want to put in sugar or
And some more milk.
and some more milk
Okay.
if we need to add in. But again, it depends on our viewers. Where basically they are health conscious, we can actually put in the sugar now, or we can leave it out, and then you can put your sweetener you do not put the sweetener before
That's
because
it.
we can then
Do it
ruin
after.
the tea itself.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay, so whilst we're letting that brew and bubble, Dumi, how's it going with the coconut puff?
So I've rolled up your puff pastry.
Fantastic.
Is this thick enough? Is the thin
That is
enough?
absolutely perfect. You don't want it too thin.
Too thin?
Because what's going to happen is that the pastry will tear as we put in a very rough filling.
Okay,
So
perfect.
what we're going to do here, we're almost done with our sugar syrup.
Yeah, so as you can see here now, it's starting to brew.
Yep.
We're going to turn down the heat a bit.
Okay.
We're going to just move it a bit. But this is the right way. It's starting to brew out
gonna
and
put in
bubble
the
up.
nuts.
We want that texture. We want that foaminess to come out.
That's it.
That is what we will start to enjoy. After we strain it, we will feel and taste everything from the tea itself and the
That's it.
masala.
Love it. Almost looking creamy here along the
Yes.
same. So
That's
maybe
it.
you can continue adding when you think it's ready. On our side, let's
I
check
think
back
we
on the
just need
station.
a little bit more milk.
That's it.
Okay.
So on our side, we've got now the toasted coconuts. If you want extra indulgence, toast your nuts. And any nut goes. You can be a nutter here. You can go with walnuts, you can go with cashew nuts. We've chosen for this a little bit of walnuts, a little bit of cashew nuts, whatever's in your pantry, really. And because raisins, you either like them or you don't. I've seen my kids pick it out and throw it away.
No, I'm not. That's not.
And Hemant hates raisins, so
No.
we know that Hemant's not going to eat this batch. So I've got to make a separate batch that doesn't have raisins in it. So raisins, highly optional. And you're going to mix that in there. Now this is the fun bit, but we're not going to get our hands dirty, unless you really want to, of course. So you've mixed in all of your dry ingredients, and you can see that color tone now,
Yep.
which is absolutely beautiful. Now the indulgent stuff. I mean, where do you go wrong with condensed milk?
Looking delicious. Do not let a drop go to waste. But we are incorporating that into our puff pastry.
That's it.
Why? Is it just to elevate the creaminess and add textures?
Absolutely, more textures, and it's going to give you... So a baklava, if you've noticed, is quite grainy in the filling.
Yes.
It's quite dry. With the Kerala puff, you want it a bit softer and smoother. So that's what ultimately the condensed milk does.
So does that mean that you'd also chop up the nuts much finer in a Kerala than you obviously...
No, it actually can be quite chunky.
Okay.
It's actually fine. For texture, you choose the texture. Then we add in some dessert cream. What could be wrong with dessert cream? I mean, really.
Do you want me to start working on your egg wash so long?
Yes, please. So we're going to add that in. And
Okay, I think we're ready here on our side. I'm going to add the sweetener, as we had said. Obviously, South Africa, if you do follow the ingredients very slowly and
little bit more.
delicately, a little
We
bit
want
more.
that sweetness, but we need that sweetness because the spice, right, that is what. And then we're
Perfect.
going to stir this up here, and we're going to bring it again one more time to a boil.
That's it.
Okay.
On our
But just
side-
for the interest of time, just head over to our website to get the full ingredients list and recipe to be making this delicious chai masala tea. And I'm ready to get straining.
Cool. Now I'm going to help you out here. So let me hold
Go.
this, and we're going to do it very gently and slowly.
Voila.
Right, slowly.
Dumi, you're awfully quiet that side, girl.
I'm
How's it
looking
going?
at the tea and how you're pouring it, and I see we've taken the color of whichever tea we're making, and I'm thinking to
That's it.
myself, if you would... I mean, does this mean you can flavor it however you like? Like, could you do this with a green tea?
So what you can do is, as we get colder weather, some fresh ginger before you put the milk in. If you put in, oh, big tip. If you're going to use fresh ginger, the critical thing here is put your water and your loose tea leaves in, then only put in your milk, because it'll coagulate and then you really don't want that. Or you could add in lemongrass. That can go in as well. So you can really adapt with some of your spices and flavors. So we've got this mixed up and we are almost good to go with our mixture.
Okay.
Now, the best part, I'm telling you, Mzansi, of this entire recipe and what we've been making today, it has finally arrived. And we get to chow down on all of these beautiful dishes that we've created. Now, you too can enjoy these recipes just by heading over to our website, www.afternoonexpress.co.za.